Good morning or good afternoon. So often I do these videos into Facebook Live. That's what I've been experimenting with, but the quality is rubbish. So what you are now getting is a recorded version uploaded. And if you were on Instagram earlier today, you'll know what I'm going to talk about. If not, I'm about to tell you. So often I'm sharing with you a tip that you can take away, some short, manageable, easy thing you could think about or consider, or a little step you can implement into your life today, right now, this moment. But today I wanted to share a little about my journey. Not for my benefit particularly, but because those of you who perhaps are new to this world, to this group, to me, may never have heard this story. And I think it's very easy, whatever this person who sets himself up as an expert tells you, whether it relates to business, weight loss, skincare, or anything else, it's easy to think, yeah, it's all right for you, isn't it? And not feel, there's a sense of disbelief almost of, was it really ever that difficult for you? Or what do you really know about what I'm going through? And so that's why this morning I want to share with you just a tiny piece of my journey, because it was very deep and dark. And even I now kind of, it's like, well, it's like childbirth, isn't it? It was, ooh, ow, but you forget. And there is a part of me that never forgets because I'm connected with women like you. But nonetheless, my life has moved on and I am in a different place. So I'm just going to share with you as briefly as I can what was going on. I'm going to dive deep into the heart of where it, not give you the whole run up to it, but effectively what had happened was I'd lost my business, my confidence, and I'd got into debt. Those were the key elements of what was happening in my life. And unless you've heard me say this before, I'm going to tell you again. In fact, even if you have, I had no idea that anything I was struggling with, I say this repeatedly, but I had no idea that any of this was something to do with menopause. I would go to my GP and I would say, I feel terrible. They would say, well, I can give you some antidepressants. No, I don't want them. Don't want them. And so, maybe I made it hard for myself, but I now know from working with clients that antidepressants don't necessarily seem to do the job that the doctors think they're going to do. So anyway, aside, I didn't know, but what I did know was that my life was effectively unraveling. I had gone from being very confident, risk-taking, courageous or foolish, either way, person, a woman who was intent on setting up a business and making it successful. I'd written a book and he was ready to take on more. And it was literally as if the floor fell out from under me. I had no idea why. So what happened was I ended up in debt, not a huge amount of money, but it doesn't really matter what the number is. It was under 20 grand. I know people say, well, I was in debt by 100 grand. That wasn't my story. But what happened was I genuinely reached a place where when people say I'm broke, I have no money, sometimes that, there's a whole scale of what that really means, isn't there? That might mean I haven't got very much. I'm living off my savings. I genuinely, because I was in debt and I had to join a debt program to manage my way out of it, I had no savings, nothing, and I had no income because I'd completely lost my confidence. And who the hell wants to work with a coach or a hypnotherapist who hasn't got their shit together, basically? Nobody. So I didn't even put myself out there because I didn't have the courage. I was afraid. And that fear was increasing. And the more I was afraid, the worse it got. I began to experience the anxiety. And the worse it got, the worse it got. You'll be familiar with this. So the more I felt self-doubt increasing, the more I felt anxious, and then I was experiencing palpitations, and I never had a panic attack, I'm pleased to say, but it was deeply uncomfortable. And it wasn't just the anxiety, there was that associated depression that, you know, a lot of women, menopausal women say this, it's not like that, I don't know, it's not like traditional depression. You kind of know it's connected with something, but you don't really know what, and you have no idea how to get out of it. But for me, I experienced that on top of everything else as just this grey, monotone place, you know, where my mood was. And I purposely slowed my voice down there and moved into a monotone, because that's the closest I can come to sharing with you what that was like. And I was scared a lot, scared of conversations with potential clients, scared to apply for jobs because I couldn't do them. You know, I wouldn't be able to do an interview. I wouldn't be able to do the job. I knew in my heart, deep down, I was capable, but I wasn't. It was just this weird place that I was in, and I didn't know how to get out. Like, even though my debt was not huge, agreeing on a debt plan when you have no form of income, no savings, and your partner's just about covering the bills, so there's no extra for me to go, oh yeah, but I know I have a partner, and actually if I ask him for no. So friends would ask me for coffee, and A, I didn't want to go because I was socially withdrawing, and B, I thought, well, thank goodness I don't want to go, because honestly, I can't afford £2.50 or whatever the coffee costs. I genuinely could not afford it. And I saw no future, no way through this. I hadn't the foggiest how the hell I was going to get out of it. Now you're waiting for the punchline where I go, until I discovered product Z. But it wasn't like that. It really wasn't like that. And I'm not going to share the whole journey because I really don't want to drown you in a sea of misery on top of what you're already dealing with. That's not my intention. But my intention is to say to you, I get it. And I also know that no matter, you know, I tried, and I felt like I was trying and trying and trying. And I was trying with things that because I couldn't afford genuinely anything, not even a coffee. So the prospect of paying for solutions was not there. I couldn't borrow money because, remember, I was in debt. I was a bad credit risk. So I would try all the free stuff, you know, the chakras, you know, whatever it was, reading stuff online. And eventually I did have to, you see, even when you think you've got no money, so I didn't have money for coffee, but eventually I did think, look, this is ridiculous. And I had to borrow some money from my mother, which I didn't want to do because she was in a care home. Like, this is her money, it's all she's got. And I have no pride in that. In fact, I probably have quite a lot of shame around that. But I thought, I can't just do nothing here. I can't, this free stuff isn't working. This self-help thing that I should have nailed because I know all this stuff is not working. I don't know what else to try. So the thing that I eventually started with, and I've said this before, was meditation, was transcendental meditation. And I had to pay to learn that. Now, I'm not getting into a debate around why and how you can learn it for free. That wasn't the point. It made a difference to me. It made a difference because there was a discipline around it. And that was the first thing that really did make a difference. But it's, as I say when I'm working with clients, the tiniest shifts that you don't even realize are happening are making bigger changes in the background, and you don't necessarily notice them straight away. So I'm not saying, oh, I went to meditation and 2 weeks later I was skipping and dancing and running businesses again, because that's not true. But what it began to trigger in my mind was the possibility that there has to be a solution. So instead of focusing on everything that was wrong, everything that wasn't working, everything I could no longer do, there was a tiny shift that said, you've got to do something, find something. And I know that sounds like, well, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I know that. But there's hearing that, and there's saying that, and there's hearing other people say that, and there's really feeling it and going, I have to do something. And somewhere in me was enough of a spark that I knew I could find an answer. Now, I didn't know what the answer was. And the next thing I did was go, okay, well, how the hell am I ever going to pay this debt? If I can't work because I haven't got confidence, how will I pay this debt? And the answer came in paying off the debt by selling my home. No, it wasn't a doom and gloom. I didn't end up on the streets, but I had to take that huge leap forwards to be able to then, like, I took the biggest, scariest decision ever. It's like, oh, there's only one way out of this, and it's to sell. Now, the irony is, having taken that big decision that I thought was the scariest thing, it opened doors that I couldn't see. Suddenly, I could think again. And then I was able to go, okay, now I've paid off my debts. I have a little bit of money. Don't blow it, Shirley, don't blow it, but I have a little bit of money. I need extra help with this. And so I was willing, because I knew, like, what was life worth if I just continued as I was? Like, okay, I know I'm not spending any money, but really I wasn't living. I just got smart about where I spent that money, and knowing that, okay, I'm going to spend this money here, and I'm really scared because, listen, I just got myself in debt and I've only just got out of it, but I'm going to spend this money here because it couldn't be worse. It could be a lot better, and I think it could get better. And that, I'm going to stop the story there, because you can tell, you know, there's so many different things, different directions I could go in, but I just wanted you to know that I know, and know how bad it can be. And I also know, not just from my personal experience, but from the experience of working with others over decades, when I didn't even know this was to do with menopause, that those tiny changes do make a difference. And honest to God, sometimes you do have to make the biggest, baddest, scariest decision to do something that seems like, oh, it's just a leap of faith. And until you're at that point, maybe you can't do anything. Anyway, oh gosh, I'm sorry. The good news is you can get through it. And the even better news is you don't have to do it the way I did it, because you are smart enough, because you're in this group, to know this is to do with menopause. Therefore, you're already 10 steps ahead of me. There are ways that you can get through this with help. You will still have to jump into some scary places, make some scary decisions, maybe invest some money in getting the support you need. You shouldn't, you know, we can argue till the cows come home that this shouldn't be the case. But as I said to one of my clients the other day, how long did they put tax on tampons? And they don't give a toss. So we can either go, I'm just going to complain about this until the day I die because it's wrong, or we can go, yeah, it's wrong, but I'm going to do something that's right for me. And if I have to pay for it right now, then that's what I have to do. So a bit of a ramble. Whether that was helpful or not, I don't know. I hope it was. Please leave a message below. Mostly you're really generous, and you do let me know how you find things and whether they're helpful or not. But yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit to go, I know what you're going through. All right, take care. Have a brilliant rest of the day, and I'll speak to you soon. All right, bye for now.